Hey everybody, it's hwsteele. Today is September 23rd, 2022, which makes this the third weekly video for the month of September this year. It's also the first video for this year that I'm doing in the season of fall, which here in the northern hemisphere means our daylight is decreasing. The amount of daylight we have each day is getting shorter and shorter, and the temperatures are finally starting to go down, which is an absolutely welcome thing for us here in Texas. Fall is my second favorite season. Winter is my favorite. And the temperatures here in Texas have a lot to do with which season is my favorite. I prefer the cooler temperatures, which kind of doesn't make sense why I actually live in Texas, other than I like the culture as much as I do. But anyway, I digress. Let me go ahead and get to the actual topic of this video. The subject matter of this video is so slap you in the face simple that it's actually kind of amazing that it works as well as it does, as frequently as it does. Now, I do believe I've talked about this before, and basically the concept of the videos for this month, September 2022, is to revisit some topics that I've talked about before that I think are pretty darn easy to implement and pretty powerful in their ability to give you points in time and or price to anticipate possible changes in trend. So on the chart we have the S&P 500, the cash index here. This is a daily chart, and this is going to be probably a shorter video because this is a really easy concept to understand and implement. So I'm going to take this right here, and we're going to look at the all-time high was right over here back in January 4th, 2022. And it's sandwiched right between two lows right here. So we're just going to measure between these two lows this amount of space. I mean, we could use the ruler here and find out how many days it is, but that's not necessarily all that important. 21 calendar days, 14 bars. All we really need to do is measure the amount of time with a line right here, and then drag this line so the edge starts at the opposite point. See, we measured bottoms here, so we want to find the top that's between these two bottoms and just drag that up there, and we can expect the possibility of some form of a change in trend when this amount of time runs out, or at the end of this line here. Of course, we could just measure it like I showed right here, and then we look and say, 21 calendar days, and then measure over here. We get 14 bars, 21 calendar days, and just write it down, piece of paper, make a note on the chart and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. Obviously, the easiest way to do it is with a line. Obviously, everyone's going to want to do it their own personal way, and that's fine. And I'm guessing there's probably going to be some people that just decide, I don't want to do that at all, which is also fine. So we have these two lows right here, boom, boom, and we move this right over here, which is actually just 2 bars into the future, and we get a ever so small topping area right there. We can also just move this one group of bottoms further, and we find, drag this up here, we measure here, we're getting the bottom right there, and since this is a double top, we could use both tops, and we find that we get, with the highest close, we actually get this top right here with the actual highest price, which I think, let's look, the high here is 45.90.03, and here it's, where's the high? 45.88. So this one right here is technically higher. So highest close, highest price, and that gives us the top right there. Now, this is like any method that you're going to use where you anticipate changes in trend. It's going to work better when you have a corrective type market like this. In other words, where there's a lot of overlapping price action, all this kind of stuff. It's going to tend to work better in markets like that versus a strong uptrend or downtrend where there's very little undulation, relatively speaking, when compared to the main trend. And the one thing you want to keep in mind is to measure from bottoms and then move to the top. I guess you could technically do the opposite, but I seem to find better results in the markets that I trade when I measure from bottoms. So like I said, this is a really, really simple concept to implement. It works pretty well in some markets and on some time frames. Just like everything else, there are other markets where it's not as good. So test it on your market if you think it's something you might be interested in using. And if it works pretty well, then gosh darn it, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here since it's such a simple concept, and I will talk to you next week in the next video.